And as the GTA 6 deadline slides off into the distance, it's time to review the best of the offer cars from this week, which I think, believe it or not, is the Grotti Briosa. Such a cool thing based on the Fiat 500, and the only way I could think to review this was to compare it to the Issi Classic. Now the Issi Classic isn't on offer, but the two are close enough to review. But there are two problems. Well, three actually. The first is this, which is the time the Briosa did. Second problem is this, which is the time the Issi Classic did. And the third problem is the fact that the laps sounded like this. Now no one wants to listen to that for 10 minutes or 12 minutes. So I decided that the only way to do this was to use both cars to do the Cayo Perico heist. So it's Panther Week this week, which I assume is Rockstar's way of saying, I'm sorry! So let's go. So my plan is, I'm going to run the full heist to get my Panther, and I'm going to use the Briosa and the Issi Classic to do as many of the setups as I possibly can. The first things first, let's have some lights on, because I've somehow managed to record all of this in the dark. So this is going to mean a few differences. So this is not a guide. If you're looking for a guide, I've done other guides on the channel, they're great. Tacos always does great guides. Deadman also does great guides. I'll link them down in the description. But this is just to see which of the cars is the best. And by best, what I probably mean is the least bad. Because as I'm sure you'll soon find out, quite a lot of this run sounds like this. So to keep that to a minimum, I'm going to try and edit most of that out for you. Now the problems on this run started quickly, because I got a message. I can't remember the last time I got this message or what I was doing the last time I got it, but yeah, I got this. And that's why I've had to edit this down so much. We're so used to running Cayo in such an efficient way. As soon as you throw a car in, or as soon as you throw a slow car in, it just takes forever. But we can skip this bit, you know, all this bit. But what I've got to say, I really enjoyed doing it this way. As someone who has ground the hell out of Cayo and made an absolute fortune, it was just so nice just to spend a bit of time messing about, because this is actually a really well put together and really good fun heist. And the main thing you can do to ruin this is to always do long fin compound jump off the island, long fin compound jump off the island. There's so much more to this, and if you mix it up a little bit, it makes it so much more interesting. So that's what we're here for. Usually this arrives once or twice a year. We've been quite spoilt. I think we've had it twice this year, and it's the most valuable target. Now I'm quite lucky in that I quickly threw a heist together and went through that once I found out it was Panther Week, so that I could complete it and then rebuy it in time to get it in hard mode, which gives me a little bit of extra cash. So off we go with these setups, and the first of the actual mission setups is going to be in the Issi Classic, and I think this is about the only one that takes place in the daylight, so I do apologise for that. And straight away, the problems, they come thick and fast, because normally I would just land on the roof and go straight in. Now I'm in a car that's got no protection, and yeah, obviously dead straight away, and because of the way you're doing it, you end up alerting all the guards straight away, which means you can't sneak through here. There's actually a really cool way you can get through that whole mission without alerting anyone, but no, none of that option. And now what I need to do is figure out how the hell I'm going to get away from these helicopters, because this car ain't losing them. And this is where the comparison between the two comes. So what you need to really decide when you're picking between these cars is, do you want one that's loose at the front or one that's loose at the back? Because they are both pretty much the same, but just in reverse. But before we do that, let's just get this back to the Kasaka Yep, we've made it. No, we haven't. So let's call the dinghy out and get that done. Now, I am not complaining. This is so much more fun than just pulling out the Mark II or the Sparrow and just grinding through the setups. You can do this in about 45 minutes without breaking too much of a sweat if you want to. But it's a pretty damn boring way to earn money. And as soon as you do this, it really just... it mixes it up. It reminds me of the time I did the video on working in free mode. There's a link to that here. Not free mode, free aim. That little change just makes so much of a difference. And so does this. So because I want to use the cars more often, I decided to change my approach vehicle. I'm going to go for the Alcanos because that means I get to do 2 setup missions and there's a lot more driving and I can really test these things and see which really is the least bad. So that's Alcanos delivered. Cutting torch delivered. Plasma cutter delivered. Fingerprint cloner delivered. And the pilot's gambling debts sorted. So we're all ready now, and I managed to do all that without subjecting you to the constant yeah, you can thank me later. So on to the finale, and that's when we got more problems. Now, because I scoped this out in a fairly standard way, I actually scoped it out the same way you'd do it if you were doing the long fin over to the airstrip, through the drainage tunnel, jump off the island approach. Then I kind of realised that because I wasn't arriving in a boat, I was going to find it really difficult to do that approach. So my first thought was, I don't know, the guards usually patrol the shores. I'll be able to go and steal a boat somewhere around here, surely. Apparently not.
No! No!
So then I thought, well, let's just do it the same way I do the scoping mission. Let's steal a motorbike. There's one over near the shack. You know, this is if you've ever done the Annihilator stealth approach, this is one of the places you can get dropped off there, and there's a motorbike there, and it's quite a nice little approach. So yeah, I can loot at the airstrip, head straight over here, pick up the motorbike, head over to the jump, and then just go across as normal. No, apparently not, because all the guards are different. So what I'll do, I'll just sneak around the other way. No, I won't, because there are guards there as well. So tell you what, why don't I parachute in? Yep, that's it. That's the way I'm going to do it. I am going to parachute in, and I'm going to land directly on it, and everything will be perfect. Now, I'm in real danger of having a repeat of my last Cayo video, which is this one here. When looting from the main dock, I messed this up and had to restart because
I wanted it to be perfect.
And then the same stealing the bike. Messed that up, had to restart because...
I wanted it to be perfect.
And then the jump at the end. I messed that up a couple of times and I had to restart again. And guess what? That was because...
I wanted it to be perfect.
But it turns out I restarted one time too many. So my take from this heist was a big, fat 0. And obviously, the next 10 minutes of my life looked a little bit like this. So in the immortal words of Jimbo in, let's
have a look at what you could have won.
And I'm really close to doing that here again. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to rescope the island and I'm going to find a set of clothes. And that way, I can just put a disguise on and just waltz through and everything will be easy. But apparently not, because there are no clothes anywhere to be found. The only one is just over here where I've already tried to parachute in and failed. So what do we do? What do we do? Right. Plan F. And this one's going to work. This one's faultless. I'm going to loot the airstrip. I'm going to go over to the North Dock. I'm going to steal the boat. And I'm going to sneak past the guard. And then we're good. No, I'm not. Okay. I'll do it again. Let's do a different boat and let's sneak out.
Yes! Yes! Oh, yeah! Can you feel that, buddy? Huh? Huh? Huh?
Oh, thank God for that. We've finally done it. We've finally done it. We're finally out. Now just the simple matter of stealing the main target and getting away. Now this should be easy. I've done this 1,000 times before. There's no reason for me to make any mess ups here. I know exactly what I'm...
They know they're soldiers and they will know you are not one of them, no matter what uniform you are wearing.
Right. Let's have one last go. Let's have one last go. And then we're going to have to call it because I'm going to end up losing this heist. I'm going to end up doing exactly what I did in the last one and lose the heist. Now, I realise I've slightly digressed there with my stories of misery from trying to do Cayo differently. So what are the morals of this story? Well, first of all, whilst it was a bit of a pain to do it this way, and I did have an awful lot more trouble than I usually have, and it probably took me a damn sight longer than it would take to just do it the normal way, it was a damn sight more interesting. You know, compared to the days of just running the same Cayo routine over and over again, this was a hell of a lot more interesting and a lot more fun. And I made a decent amount of money, and I got to use my cars. Because let's face it, it is supposed to be called Grand Theft Auto, not Grand Theft Flying Motorbike. So this to me was a much better way of doing this heist. Now you've still got a bit of time. If you haven't got your Panther yet, you've still got time to get it. So even if you haven't got the Kasaka yet, the Kasaka is on offer. You've got time to save up, do some work, buy that, and go in and scope it. You don't have to complete the heist this week. You only have to do the scoping mission. So if you scope it and get the Panther, you're good to go. This will top your bank up nicely, just in time for Mansions DLC. And also remember, if you have 2 characters and if you have your Kasaka on both, remember to do your Panther Cayo on both characters. But back to the cars. Which one, well, back to my original brief, should I say, which one was the best or which one was the least bad? I'm close to saying I think they're equally as bad, but I've got to make a decision. And I've got to say, I've not been shy about saying I love Minis. I have one in real life, I have loads in the game. I think it's a great car in real life and in the game. But the way they've done the Briosa is just so much prettier. It's a much better model. This one that I have is the Benny's version, so that's the wide body version. It doesn't cost that much to add that on. I'd definitely recommend doing it. It really pops with that on. So if I had to give one of them, I'm going to have to say the Benny's one is slightly better. I'm going to have to say the Briosa is slightly better than the Issi Classic. Sorry, Sir Alec. I'm not dissing your car. I'm not going to swap it for a Fiat 500. Don't worry. In terms of this game, these missions, that worked much better for me. I hope you found that useful, and I'll see you all in the next one.